William Shakespeare, a biography in brief by Lou Enstone. The early years. William Shakespeare was born in April 1564 in Stratford-upon-Avon. We don't know the exact date that Shakespeare was born on, but he was christened on the 23rd of April, so he must have been born at some point earlier that month. Shakespeare's father was well known in Stratford. He was an alderman, which is like a local councillor, and a bailiff. So Shakespeare's family were relatively well off, and he would have attended the local grammar school, where he would have learnt rhetoric, classics, and history. Grammar school education finished for boys at the age of 14. At that point, most boys would have gone on to learn a profession. Some would have proceeded to university, generally either at Oxford or Cambridge. Shakespeare did not go to university. His marriage and children. There are many legends about how Shakespeare spent his youth, but there are very few documented facts. The next historical record after his christening is his marriage in 1582 to the daughter of a local farmer, Anne Hathaway. Shakespeare would have been just 18 years old when he got married. Their first child, a daughter named Susanna, was born in 1583, and then in 1585 they had twins, a boy called Hamnet and a girl called Judith. Unfortunately, Hamnet died of unknown causes, aged 11 years old, in 1596. The Lord Chamberlain's Men. Again, for the next 7 years, there is very little information about Shakespeare's life. He reappears in 1592, aged 28 years old, as an actor in London. He was already, by this point, well-known as an actor and a playwright. It's unclear where and when Shakespeare's acting career began, whether it was in London itself or as part of a touring group of actors. However, by 1592 he was involved in London's most successful acting troupe, the Lord Chamberlain's Men, and this connection remained a long and fruitful one. Shakespeare experienced success upon success. Not only did Shakespeare act with the Lord Chamberlain's Men, but he also became a major shareholder and the principal playwright. Shakespeare wrote a number of very successful plays and poems during these early years, including Venus and Adonis. By 1597, he had made enough money to buy a large family home in Stratford-upon-Avon. During his career, Shakespeare wrote many famous plays. Romeo and Juliet was first performed in 1594 or 1595. Then came Midsummer Night's Dream and A Much Ado About Nothing. His plays like As You Like It and Twelfth Night were popular with Elizabethan audiences who loved the romantic comedies. Building the Globe. In 1599, the Lord Chamberlain's Men created a partnership to build their own theatre in London. The theatre was built on the south bank of the River Thames in Southwark and named the Globe. In 1608, the company also took over the Blackfriars Theatre on the north side of the river. A decade of tragedy. The early 1600s began with the decline of Elizabeth I and, seemingly in sync, the beginning of an era of tragedy for Shakespeare. His play Hamlet was written early in 1600, and then following the death of Queen Elizabeth and the ascension of James I to the throne, we saw Othello in 1604. 1606 was perhaps Shakespeare's greatest year, with King Lear, Macbeth and Antony and Cleopatra all being performed for the first time in 1606. The end of an era. The latter years of the first decade of the 17th century showed a slow decline in Shakespeare's writing. In 1610, he retired to Stratford-upon-Avon. The Tempest, his last full play was first performed in 1610 and had been written entirely at his country home. When Shakespeare died in April 1616, there were no collected editions of his plays. In 1623, two of Shakespeare's friends published a collection of plays that were considered authentic, and this is what is called the First Folio.